Hello everybody, it's Crystal. Welcome to my channel, Bagoday Crochet. So today I have a tutorial for you. I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful, beautiful blanket. So this is my Hidden Deceptions blanket. Isn't it a beauty? I think it is. I think it's very, very beautiful. So as always, the blankets that I do, you do them in any color that you want, and you don't even have to use, like if I show you the main stitch, you can use it for something else, whatever, you can do whatever you want with it, but I'm just going to tell you about this blanket right here. So this blanket is made with the all-in-one granny square yarn. That's this one right here. As you can see though, it is not granny squares. It makes a beautiful short self-striping, I guess it would depend how long your stripes are, or variegated type of yarn. So that is what that is. Red Heart all-in-one granny square, but not made into grannies. It was actually made using the bean stitch right here, and it was done on vertical strips. We have 5 vertical strips of bean stitches. And then we outline them. This is Red Heart, and sewed together with zigzag slip stitch border. Zigzag slip stitch is how we sew it together, and then the border is double crochet with a very simple Aran color reverse single crochet along the edge. I just think it turned out beautiful. I didn't know about that burgundy with that. I remember showing it on camera, and at first I thought it'd be okay, and then a lot of people, some people were saying no, some people were saying yes. I'm like, well, I got a burgundy chair, I'm just going for it, and I think it turned out pretty well. But remember, you can use any colors that you'd like. You can do it however you want to do it. You can do more than 5 panels. You can do one big panel. You can do 60 panels for all I care. I'm just going to show you how to make this one in general. So it measures approximately 58 wide and about 62 tall, something like that. All right, you guys want to go ahead and get started? All right, let's do it. Oh, let me show you the back side real quick. Just pretty much the same. The difference is the join. You can't see that zigzag on the back there. And you can see that the border here is on the back side. But other than that, hey, the bean stitches look the same. All right, let's do it. And we're going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Now, first thing we want to do is we want to make these panels here of the bean stitches. And as I said, mine has 5. So, as you can see, the panels are vertical. They're sewn vertical. So we make the bean stitch in short rows, horizontal, and then we go up vertical, and that's how they're sewn together. You've seen it in the picture. So we'll go ahead and start that out first. Now, for that blanket that you just saw, you want to start out with a chain of 27 chains. Alright, so once you get your chain of 27, now if you want to make the bean stitch section bigger or smaller, it's done in any odd number. Alright, so but 27 is what I did. And now what you want to do is we are going to be working our first bean stitch in the 3rd stitch from our hook. So we don't count this one on our hook. 1, 2, 3. And this is how the bean stitch is made. Now it's very important you do not yarn over the first time you go in to that stitch. So the 3rd one over, 1, 2, 3, go into it, and then you draw up a loop, and then you yarn over and go into the same stitch and draw up a loop, and then one more time you yarn over, go into the same stitch and draw up a loop, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over and go through all 6 and chain 1 to lock it. So that is how the bean stitch is made. Now we're going to start the repeat of row 1. We're going to skip 1 stitch and we're going to bean stitch into the next. So remember, we don't yarn over the first time. So skip 1, go into the next stitch and draw up a loop, and then we yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, and one more time we yarn over, go into that same stitch, draw up a loop, and you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over and go through all 6 and chain 1, just like that. Again, we skip 1 stitch and bean stitch into the next. So skip this one, and without yarning over, we go into the next and draw up a loop. And then we yarn over and go into the same stitch and draw up a loop. And one more time, we're going to yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, 6 loops, yarn over and go through all 6 and chain 1. Again, skip 1 stitch, and in the next, without yarning over, we do our bean stitch, go in, draw up a loop, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop. One more time, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, 6 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 6 and chain 1. And this is what we're going to do until we get to the end of the row. Your final stitch will be a bean stitch. So skip 1 and the next, without yarning over, go in, draw up a loop, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over again, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, 6 loops, yarn over, go through all 6, chain 1, and repeats. So go ahead and finish this out until you get to the end of row 1. Alright, so I've made it to the end of row 1 of my first row of bean stitches. Now row 2 of the bean stitch row is the repeat row of the bean stitch pattern. So I just chained 1 here at the end. My last stitch was a bean stitch. I chained 1 to lock it. So now what I'm going to do is do another chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work. And now we're going to do a bean stitch right here in this spot. See this? Right there. Every time you pull the bean stitches this part, you'll see like this little triangle thing on the side of each bean stitch. That's where we place our next bean stitch. So, and we make it the same way. So we just go into it without yarning over and draw up a loop, and then we yarn over and we go into that same spot, draw up a loop, and yarn over again and go into that same spot, draw up a loop, 6 loops, yarn over and go through all 6 and chain 1. Again, we jump in over here to the next bean stitch. If you pull them apart, you can see that little triangle thing right there on the side of this bean stitch. That's where we work our next bean stitch. So we go into it without yarning over and drawing up a loop, and then we yarn over, go into it and draw up a loop, yarn over again, go into it and draw up a loop, 6 loops, yarn over and go through all 6 and chain 1. And repeat. Jump over here, right here to the next spot, go into it without yarning over, draw up a loop, then we yarn over, go into the same spot, draw up a loop, yarn over, go into the same spot again, draw up a loop, 6 loops, yarn over and go through all 6. So this is the pattern that I'm going to repeat all the way across until I get to the end of the row. So we're just putting a bean stitch and a chain 1 right here on the side of each one of these bean stitches. Alright, so I'm going to meet up with you near the end of the row. Okay, coming to the end, and your last bean stitch goes right here on the end in this spot here. Just like that, we chain 1 to lock, and then we're going to chain 1 again and turn our work, and we're going to repeat what we just did again. So we're just going to keep repeating rows of these bean stitches. So I'm just repeating what we did on row 2. Just putting bean stitches in those little spaces that are next to the bean stitches from the previous row. It looks like a little triangle kind of. Now you want to continue doing this if you're following along with me, until you get 112 rows of bean stitches. So right now we are on row 3. We need 112 per panel. So, but it's best, I think, to work one panel at a time, and I'll show you why here in just a second. So just continue repeating row 2, doing what I'm doing here. Rows of bean stitches until you get one tall panel of 112 rows of bean stitches. So remember, this is vertically sewn together, all right? It's long vertical panels. All right. So 112. You can do more if you like, or less, but the one you see in the picture is 112. All right. All right. I'll see you. See you in a second. All right, so I'm going to cut mine short because I'm just doing a sample swatch. But remember, you'll have 112 rows, so it'll be really long vertical stripe of bean stitches, all right? And then once you get your 112 rows and you got your really long stripe of it, what you want to do, don't tie off this color. We're going to go around it with single crochet. So we're just going to go ahead and, let's see, I chained one after that last bean stitch. So I'm just going to kind of evenly try to space out single crochets down the sides of my piece. Now remember, this isn't going to be exact. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just kind of go into the side of the bean stitch and then kind of like in between. Just do your best to evenly space out some single crochets down the side. Now if it begins to get wavy, that means that you have too many single crochets. You'll need to take some out. If it starts to pucker, like shrink in a bit, that means you don't have enough and you'll need to add a few more. But just try to do your best to evenly space them out and put them wherever you can fit them. Like down the, like there's the side of a puff I just went into. See that? Kind of in between. Just doing the best I can. Does not have to be perfect. Side of this puff. But now when you get down to the bottom here, and you're going to start working across the bottom of your piece, this very corner piece right here, we're going to put 3 single crochets in that corner piece that's on the bottom. Oops. Right here. So it's 1, 2, and 3. And that'll help us round the corner. And then I'm going to continue across the bottom, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. You should be able to see pretty well where they need to go. It's where we skipped a stitch, you need to put a single crochet. And then where we put a bean stitch is where you need to put a single crochet. So you just do your best there to get those put in the right spot. And then I'm going to continue across the bottom, and I'll meet up with you at the next corner down here. Alright, when you get to the corner on this side, just kind of wherever you think the corner might be, you want to put 3 single crochets there in that corner. So I'm kind of going in that chain space there. Put in 3 single crochets around that corner, and now I'm going to do my best to go up this side and evenly space out my single crochets. I want to try to get the same amount of number of single crochets on each side, but it doesn't have to be exact. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of room for, stuff doesn't have to be exact here. So as you can see, I'm just evenly spacing. Actually, I didn't even count how many single crochets are on the other side. It doesn't matter. We're just going to do our best to, oops, that one I split. We're just going to do our best to evenly space them up the side. Now remember, your side is going to be a lot longer than mine because I just did a sample swatch here. But I'm just working on up it until I get to the top here. which I'm almost at, which I am at now. So the top up here, we want to put 3 single crochets into the top corner, like that. And now we're going to be working across the top. Here's where we started, going down with our single crochet. So we got this one last portion at the top. You put a single crochet into the top of the bean stitch and into that space beside the bean stitch, into the top, and then into the space beside it. And we do this until we get back to where we started. So all we're doing right now is we're just cleaning up our edges of our single crochet so we can put a proper, making it easy to sew together and put a proper border on it. All right, so once you make it to your last stitch here, right here's where we started going down the side with single crochet. So the last stitch, you want to put 3 single crochets in it. 1, 2, and 3, and then we can slip stitch into that first single crochet on the side, and we can tie this color off. So we went around it. Remember, your piece is a lot longer than mine. Mine's short version. Go ahead and tie that off, and then we're going to go around it again. Now this is the color that you see in my blanket is the burgundy, but I'm going to use a different color. This is all scrap yarn that I'm using. So I'm just going to use this scrap yarn. So what you see in the blanket, this represents the burgundy, but whatever color you want to use. So now we're going to go around it with double crochet, all right? But remember, yours is, I can't stress that enough. Just remember, yours is 112 tall. So you want to find where we put 3 single crochets in the corner. Go into the middle stitch of those 3, and that's where we're going to start our yarn, all right? Into any of those 3, go into the middle stitch. We're going to chain 1, and in that middle stitch of that group of 3, we're going to put 5 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to work around, and we're going to put 1 double crochet into every single stitch. You'll be able to see the stitches really well now, since we went around it with single crochet, cleaned up the edges of the bean stitches. So we're going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch, and then every time we get to a middle stitch, that group of 3 in the corner, the middle one, we're going to put 5 double crochets into that. That only helps it to round the corner as well, and helps it to lay more flat. So I'm going to continue putting 1 double crochet into every stitch, and I'll meet back up with you at the next corner. Right over here. Alright, when you make it to the next middle stitch of your group of 3, it gets 5 double crochets as well. There's 1, and there's 2, and here is 3, 4, and there is 5. And then we will continue along, putting 1 double crochet into every stitch there until we make it to the next corner. And when we make it to the next corner, it'll be the same thing. It'll get 5 double crochets into it, and we're going to do this all the way around until we make it back to our starting point. So I'm just working 1 double crochet into every stitch, and then 5 double crochets into each of the corner stitches, which is the middle stitch of the group of 3 from the previous row. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish that up, and I'll see you in just a second. All right, when you make it back around to your starting point, you want to go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first double crochet here, and then you can tie this off. And now what you want to do is you want to make your 5 panels exactly the same. So to be 5 panels, if you're doing it like me, of 112 bean stitches, so very long, 5 panels. And then we go around it, clean it up, evenly spacing it out with single crochet, and then we went around it with the double. Now once you got your 5 panels completed, then you want to sew them together. Now you can sew them together any way that you choose. I'll show you. Remember, yours are going to be like super long. They're not this way. They're going this way, but they're really long. All right. So don't confuse mine being short, because that's not the way they are. They're really the beans are going horizontal, but we sew them up. They're long vertical stripes. Okay. Like I said, you can sew it together any way that you like. The one you see in the picture was sewn together with a zigzag slip stitch. So I'll show you how we do that. So you put your pieces together, right side facing you. All right, you don't want the wrong side, and you want to start in the 5th, those 5 that are in the corner, in the middle one. All right, so 1, 2, 3, and go in there and pull your yarn through, and we will chain 1. Now what we're gonna do. This is a cool way to sew them together because it makes a cool design, but sometimes it could be a bit awkward. Okay, so we're going to find the 5th one on the other side, or the middle of the 5th one on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, that one right there. We're going to go in it top down like that, all right? And then we're going to grab our main yarn. This is why it gets a little awkward, but once you get the hang of it, it's easy. And we're gonna grab it, pull it through like a slip stitch, like that. And then we're gonna chain 1 in between that every time we do that. Now we're gonna go over here to the next stitch that's in line on this next piece, down, from the top down, like that. Pull your yarn through and slip stitch, like that. And then we chain 1. And then we're going to go over here onto the other piece, the next stitch in line that's empty right here. Go from the top down like that, and pull it through and slip stitch and chain 1. Come over here to the next piece, the next stitch that's empty. Go down like that and slip stitch. Chain 1 in between, and we go over here to the next piece. I think it's the piece on the opposite side over here that's a little bit awkward. Well, for me anyways, it's a little awkward. You find your next empty stitch, so right here, go down like that. Oh, I gotta get my yarn out on the other side of it, sorry. Down like that, and then pull your yarn through and slip stitch, chain 1. Come over here to the next piece. The next stitch that's empty, put your hook through downward, pull it back through, slip stitch, chain 1. I hope that I chained 1 in between that last one. If not, remember, you always chain 1. Come over here to your next, find your next empty stitch over here. Go in it, down like that, grab your yarn, pull it through, and slip stitch. Oh, and chain 1. And this is what we're going to do all the way down. So you got 112 rows of puff stitches per panel, plus whatever stitches we added here extra. So we're just going to keep doing this all the way down. So go into the next stitch, downward like that, pull it through and slip stitch and chain 1. Come over here to the next one, go at a downward motion, pull it through, slip stitch, chain 1. Next one you find empty, go down, pull it through, slip stitch, chain 1. Come over here to the next empty, go down like that. This one over here is always awkward. Pull it through and slip stitch and chain 1. See, after a while you get the hang of it. Just make sure you chain 1 in between them. So you're actually just kind of just doing like one side at a time, you know what I mean? But it's slip stitching them together in a zigzag manner. Chain 1, come over here to the next one, go into the next empty stitch downward, and pull it through, slip stitch, chain 1. And I'm going, you know, you just keep doing this until you are all the way sewn up. And when you're all the way sewn up, then you go to the next panel and continue on. Now, if you don't want to do it in this manner, you can sew it together in any way that you choose. There is no right or wrong way when it comes to sewing up squares or vertical pieces of, when it just comes to sewing crochet together in general. There's no right or wrong way. Whatever works for you and whatever holds it together, right? That's what I say. So, if you don't want to do it this way, if you don't like the looks, can't get, you know, some reason or another you don't want to do it, that's fine. You do it whatever way you choose. As long as it's sewn up, then to me, that is the correct way. But after a while, as you can see, it starts to make a zigzag appearance like that, which is more prominent, I think, on the red here. You can see a little bit better. See that? That's like that. All right. So after you get all, you see how these are all vertical? You get all 5 of your long vertical pieces sewn together. If you choose that zigzag slip stitch method, or if you choose a different method, it does not matter, as long as your pieces are sewn together. Then we can go around it and do the border on it real quick, and then we will be finito. Okay, when you make it to the end here, to the third, you went all the way to the top and you've made it to the third or the middle stitch of that group of 5 on both sides. You don't have to chain 1 on your last one. Just go ahead and tie it off like that. All right, there you go, and you get all 5 of your panels sewn up, and that'll be done. Now what we're going to do is we are going to use the same color again. You don't have to use the same color. You can use whatever colors you want. Doesn't matter to me. But I'm going to use the same color, and I'm going to go around the entire piece again with single crochet. But we're going to start in the middle stitch of the group of 5. So remember, you have big long panels. I keep stressing that, like big long panels. Here's my seam. Yours is going to be big, long, and tall. I'm just showing you on a smaller scale. So you find that middle stitch of the group of 5 here, and in that middle stitch we're going to do single crochet. We're going to put 3 there. So we chain 1, and in that middle one we're going to put 3 singles. There's 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to work around and we're going to put 1 single crochet into every stitch until we make it again to that middle group of 5, and we'll put 3 single crochets into that. Just like this. So this is your final border right now that we're doing. You got your 5 panels. They're big long panels of bean stitches with double crochets in between them, and we sewn them up. Now we're going around the row of single crochet. 1 single in every stitch, and then 3 single crochets in each of the middle stitch of the group of 5 double crochets before it. All right, and that is what we're going to do all the way around. Now when you get to the I'm almost there, so I'm going to show you real quick. When you get to a seam of where you sew together, you just want to do your best to just single crochet right across that seam. So I'm coming up on a seam here of sewing. Just single crochet across it the best that you can, as evenly as possible. You know, as best and as evenly as possible that you can do, and that's all that you can do, is the best that you can, right? That's all I ask. Do your best. Alright, I'm going to continue this, working 1 single crochet in every single stitch, and then when I get to the corner again, the middle stitch of this group of 5, I'm going to put 3 single crochets into that stitch. All right, all the way around our whole big blanket. All right, and I'll meet back up with you at our starting point. All right, so you made it all the way around with single crochet, and remember you put 3 single crochets in each of the corners. Now we're going to end by slip stitching into our first single crochet, and we're going to go ahead and tie this yarn off, and we are done with this color. We only have 1 more row for the border. And that is on the blanket that you see in the picture. That is done with that white color or the iron color. Alright. Now that is the crab stitch, or otherwise known as the reverse single crochet. You don't have to put that on there if you don't want to. But if you do, I'll show you how it's done. Now you could start anywhere that you like, okay? Anywhere that you like. There's a few different ways that you can actually do the reverse single. Why don't we go ahead and just do it the easy way? How about that? All right. So you probably saw many different ways on how to do maybe not the reverse single. I'm gonna do it the easy way. Okay, we're gonna do it like this. Now we don't do anything special around the corners. All right, no extra stitches or anything. It's just 1 reverse single into every stitch, but I'm going to do the reverse single, but I'm going to do it forward instead of backwards. This is also known as the twisted single, but it is also known as the forward reverse single. Alright, so we're going to start our yarn anywhere you want. We're going to chain 1, and we are going to go back into that stitch and draw up a loop like we're going to do a single crochet like that. Push those 2 loops back on your hook, give your yarn a twist, and then your hook a twist like that, and then yarn over and do a single crochet, just like normal. And we're going to do that in every stitch across. Alright, so we're going to go into the next stitch, and we're going to drop a loop like we're going to do a single crochet. Push those 2 loops back here to the thicker part of your hook, take your hook, twist it, and then yarn over and go through those 2 loops on your hook like that. Again, you go into the next stitch and draw up a loop, push those 2 loops back on your hook. The reason why we do that, because we don't want them to get too tight. Take your hook and give it a twist, and now we yarn over and pull through those 2 loops on our hook. And we're going to do this in every stitch all the way around. And into the next stitch, draw up a loop. Pull those 2 loops back to the thickest portion of your hook. Twist your hook. And then we grab our yarn and pull through those 2 loops just like a normal single crochet. Again, next stitch. Draw up a loop. Push those loops back to the thickest portion of your hook. Give your hook a twist. Grab that yarn and pull it through just like a single crochet. Again, we're going to do the same thing. Next stitch, draw up a loop, Push those loops back to the thickest portion of your hook. Give your hook a twist. Grab the yarn and pull it through those 2 loops. And we're going to do this all the way around. And as you can see, it makes the same appearance as the crab stitch does, or the reverse single. It looks the same. It's just going in a forward motion versus the opposite direction, which I find a little bit, it's not hard, but hey, this is easier, just like that. And we do this all the way around. And like I said, when we get to the corners, we don't do anything special. We do the same thing. All right, same thing, just one in every stitch until you get back to your starting point. And when you make it to your starting point, then you just end with the slip stitch and you're finished. Now, if you're finding this difficult as well, remember you do this all the way around. If you're finding this difficult as well, another thing that you can do that I think is kind of similar, you can go into the stitch and single crochet like regular, chain 1, go into the very next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, go into the very next stitch, single crochet, chain 1. This is a very nice single crochet into the next, chain 1, a very nice clean, I guess dainty looking border that you could do if you find the reverse single like I just showed you to be a bit tricky, or if you do the reverse single in the opposite direction. This is always another option that you can do. You're just single crocheting and putting a chain 1 in between, but we're not skipping any stitches. I'm just giving you border options here. I don't know why. Something different. See that? And after a while, you just single crochet, chain 1. Remember, without skipping any stitches between. It looks like that. Which I love that border as well. And there's the twisted. And you know what? Another border that you can do if you don't want to do any of those. Nothing really beats a plain, simple, single crochet border. All the way around. And again, you wouldn't have to do anything special. Around the corners, you would just put 1 single crochet into every single stitch all the way around. Those are just a few border options you can do. Like I said, the blanket here was done with the reverse single, which was the first one that I showed you, only I did it in a forward motion, which is easier. And there it is. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you're able to follow along if you make this. I cannot wait to see what yours looks like, what colors you decide to do, how many panels of beans you make yours, yeah, how you decide to sew them together. I'm just excited to see yours in general. So remember, if you make this, you come show me a picture on my Bagoday Crochet Facebook page. I'd love to see it. Remember, you don't have to use any of the yarns that I use. You use whatever yarns that you want to use. Like I said, you can make it completely solid if you want. Whatever you choose is going to look beautiful, and it's going to be unique to you. So thank you everybody for watching. Please don't forget to check out all my other tutorials. Hit that subscribe button and that like button. Leave a comment below. Help me out with that algorithm, alright? I'll see you guys on my next video. Take care. Bye, guys.